entrances that we can walk in. This and the front. The front isn't working. All these other entrances have a tap key. We used to have a slide-in key. As you can see, they fixed this. This was hanging out. Oh, it's still loose. The system doesn't work. They just got through putting this key system in. You put your key in, you turn it, then you press this and the door will open. Because the handicapped people couldn't get in. And someone in a wheelchair went ahead and called that in. So they just got through doing this. After 6 years of being here, they just made this. The card issue, the key cards issue have been a problem since the VA was running the CWT program, which I was in. They knew this organization they knew that this was a problem. And instead of taking care of it and converting over to keys, which is now what they're doing, they waited all this time because the stuff is starting to hit the fan right now. Now, they didn't do it on the front door, the front main entrance, which is going to be open up as soon as those other two buildings open up. So they're going to have to do the same thing to that.
May I ask one question?
Yes.
If you wouldn't mind sharing your name, like where you served, when you served, and how long you've lived here and where we are.
My name is Gabor Weibel. I've been living here since 2016 when it was a VA-run CWT program, which is compensated work therapy. Then in 2017, June of 2017, it turned into a residential apartment. That's when StepUp took over this apartment. They were aware of the key system not working. Sometimes it would let you in the building with your key card, but it wouldn't let you in your unit. Sometimes it wouldn't let you in to the building, but it would let you into your apartment. So you'd always have to get a new key for that. They've been aware of this for all these years, and now they're just starting to, now we can get in this door and the back door where the trash cans are, which they never let us allow to. So people in wheelchairs and walkers, when they took
there's no way out there with the back door.
when they took their trash out, they had to wheel themselves all the way around this building, and over there they had to go where the construction site is right now and go through a various ramps to come up, then in front of the building various ramps again to get back in, because you can go out any door, but you can only come in one door they only allowed you to come in.
Is there lights for nighttime? If
These, just what you see these things, these are lights. They're out in the garden. Most of them are out where people barbecue and go out there. It's therapeutical, it's a garden. The tenants are redoing the garden because the landlord doesn't do nothing. It was run to crap. So the tenants we'll take a little tour and you'll see what they've been doing out there right now. These are the paying tenants.
so you, and may I ask, do you pay to live here?
I paid $56 a month because I was on GR at the time, and then I was forced to go on early retirement because I couldn't live off of GR. That was $221 cash and $195 in EBT. Now in 2020, when I reached 62, I was ragged in clothes. I mean ragged. I couldn't afford, I was shopping at thrift shops. I went on early retirement. Because I went on early retirement, I am now receiving $693 a month. Because I went on early retirement, that took $400 away from me that I'm never gonna get for the rest of my life. The only raise in retirement that I'm gonna get, I'm a working tax, I'm not on disability, it's from regular retirement survivor. So now, what was I saying? So now I'm going to be stuck with that for the rest of my life because I had no choice, which was a good thing because COVID hit in 2020, and when the prices everywhere went up, I would never have made it off of just GR. I could not wait till I reached my regular retirement age. That was my financial situation.
So $57 out of pocket, but do they take any benefits or your vouchers, or no, it's just $57?
It was $56 that I was paying your rent. Right, $56. So
do other tenants pay the same, more or less than you do?
It's all different.
Everyone's different.
What it is, let's go inside here. You can see how all you're gonna see many of this because they wouldn't put any boards up here.
Interesting.
That's been like that for 3 years. They took a spray can paint to paint that. Couldn't even match the colors. And that's what they did. This man was locked out of his house for 12 hours one day.
Oh my God, I'm sorry to hear that.
12 hours. And the manager wouldn't let him in.
Wow. I'm sorry to hear that. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you? Hi, sir.
This right here, this office, the VA, when it was a VA program.
How you doing? Good.
When it was a VA program, this was a weight room, a gym for the tenants. Before, I was one of the 6 people who were able to stay here after the program because mine basically was because of my income. The other one, because we're the CWT program, we all stayed here, 6 of us. That was left here. A man made it clear. The supervisor of the program at that time made it clear that that weight room was here for us tenants, for
And now it's
For
like
therapy.
storage, or what is in there now? The office?
No, that was the office of the social workers, right here. This was their office. In 2018, they had new social workers come in, new supervisors, and they got rid of the other ones for some reason.
Is anyone in here ever?
Well,
Is someone-
now it's this guy right here. This is the guy who took my HUD VASH. This is the guy who was harassing me for a whole year. And I just want to make it clear, what they did was, her name was Rebecca. She decided to move all the gym stuff out of there and move their office into there. They moved the gym into there. What happened was it was so crowded together, no one could really use it. Well, sometime in 2020 or 2021, they took everything out of there and made this their office too. Now, the gym is scattered between the multi-purpose room and whoever knows where all the weights are. All kinds of weights to work out with for therapy, which I was using for physical therapy, and she took it. She was in charge of, she took it. And where the weights are, they even had the little hand weights, little dumbbells. It was for therapeutic, for physical therapy. When I was going to physical therapy, they told me that we are so busy here that we're going to give you an outpatient physical therapy. I said, well, hey, we got a weight. I'm gonna have access to the weights. And she said, oh, you got a gym? You're a member of a gym?
You can be recording it here.
Excuse me?
If you're recording it here,
It's not against the law. It's this VA property.
But
sure, there are some.
because there was a privacy complaint on the original video we posted on YouTube, we were having to re-edit and cover, censor this stuff. Now, what you must know is that Veterans Housing Partnership is the manager and property management of Building 209. And they are suing Bill. Bill has court on February 23rd at 9 a.m. in Santa Monica.
Are we on federal
He
property,
needs our
sir?
help.
Yes, we are. See,
Okay.
they won't answer.
Sir, may I
They
ask
won't
your-
answer certain
May I
questions.
ask your name?
His name is Jimmy Miranda.
Oh,
his
that's
name right
Jimmy?
there. That's
Oh,
Jimmy
okay.
Miranda. He's the one who took my husband. He's the one who was harassing me and calling the cops on me.
I understand.
Do you live here as well? Is it bad? But yeah, I understand. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm here to just try to bring awareness. You know, that's the,
He's gonna go get Daryl now, the regional manager, the newest regional.
well, let's try to get upstairs quick. Because they can't say nothing if we're in your spot.
Nope. First of all, usually if there's something, there should be a penal code or a
Right.
civil code written right on the
Absolutely.
warning.
Absolutely.
There isn't nothing. They had that sign just made up.
Yeah, I hear that.
Now, when you walk into this property on all gates, it says no weapons, knives, or guns. All backpacks and luggage can be searched for that.
That
That's
makes
all
sense.
it says. It has nothing about being recording, taking video, and this and that.
And if
I'm
anything,
taking
those
video.
are cameras as well, right? I mean,
Yeah,
we're
They
assuming.
even have cameras in the elevator.
So unless this is a prison, you know, you would think you would have the ability to record as they do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, unless.
They even
Right.
have it in the elevator. Now I heard in residential elevators you can't have. Now see this?
Yep.
You see these sheets? They had diamond plate up there in 2018. People in the wheelchair were cutting their hands and messing up their wheelchair. So what happened was someone from the VA told them to take it off. They took it off. This under that was down to the bare metal from the people going in and out and scratching it with their wheelchairs and walkers. So they took off the sheet metal, and then in late, I believe it was late 2020, early 21, they had maintenance men working for a private temporary agency called Kelly Services. He was doing light maintenance. Well, he told me that they took the doors from the basement. They took these panels, these stainless steel panels from doors that they have inside there, and that's how we can put them up. You can see they're all uniform. They're all stretched up. They're all the same even. So they took them off of doors because they were so cheap that they bought diamond plate. The diamond plate that you have on running boards on trucks or in the back of pickup truck. And that's why the tenants were scratching up their hand. They took them off, then they let it sit again for so many years. This Jose, this temporary agency, working for a temporary agency maintenance guy, he went ahead and put a coat of primer on there, and then took these off. He took these plates off from doors in the basement inside of the offices where you just saw Jimmy walk.
Let's go check out the next thing.
And that's what they did on both sides of the beam.
So it's just quick fixes, it seems.
See, there's part of the gym.
Do these mailboxes work?
No, they work. They even gave us keys. And you know what? They're saying that the VA hasn't okayed. I'll show you the letter saying they haven't okayed for the mailman to deliver this. When it was a program in 2016, see, the mail doesn't get delivered here. It gets all the mail. This is all one address. It gets delivered to one building. From there, 2 VA employees, not postal workers, VA employees, separate all the mails, and then in little carts, other VA employees take them to the certain buildings. Now, because this is privately run, these people have to pick the mail up and then come and take it. I didn't show you when we were up there. What these guys did, 2 people picked up the mail in 2016 while it was a program. They immediately, whoever picked up the mail would come here and put the mail in these boxes. I still have my original key for this mailbox. They didn't have to make me one because I had this in 2016. As soon as they came to here, to work here, that's when our mail stopped. That's when our mail stopped being delivered into the boxes. Right. So
you have these nice boxes. They aren't. This isn't used.
They were used for a year during a VA program, and that's it. As a private landlord, he has mailboxes, and now here's the problem.
Who's the landlord here?
His name is Todd Lipka, the owner of StepUp on 2nd.
Interesting. Okay.
Now you can see all these gym parts. They're scattered right here. Now I don't even know where the weights, most of the weights are.
Right.
See those microphones hanging from there? They installed this. The landlord installed these. You know what they're for? Those microphones hang? So that when they communicate off those TVs, they can, because they have apartments in other places and in other states. So what it was, so they can communicate through video and sound. So they have the money to fix all this, do all this, put all this electronic equipment in there, but not to fix anything. So you see, now, like I said, they issued us keys.
This is your unit?
This is my unit. I've been living in this unit I moved in while it was still a VA program. Well, we were told then, if you have problems with the heat, problems with the windows, as soon as the new landlord comes in, come on in.
Thank you,
as
sir.
soon as the new landlord comes in, they're gonna be responsible for fixing those. Go over there and try to pull that window.
Like open it, right? It looks like it opens up. It doesn't open? I mean,
It opens, you gotta fight with it.
yeah, this is, I mean, yeah.
The Department of Building and Safety controls this. And they state, and it is, the housing authority knows it. They state every window and door must open and close easily. Do you see anything?
Not, I mean, yeah, no, that's not easy at all. And if you know, you're very capable physically in this manner, but if you were, and you know,
There's plenty of people here who can't do it.
correct.
Who can't do it. They used to have security doing it for opening and closing windows for them. Now, oh, here's another thing. All these complaints were made very clear to them since the very beginning. Since the very beginning. This
That's
is a
never
house.
been fixed, this
Never
window?
been- You know what they said?
What?
They said, it's a historic building. So are those. So are those. They replaced every window in those two buildings. They haven't even attempted to fix these windows.
Does someone ever come in and tried it? Have you ever?
Yes, yes.
And they go, oh yeah, that's difficult, right? I mean, they
You
must.
know what their answer was? WD-40. To spray it inside and they were...
And is that a
They're-
manager, a maintenance person?
The
Who's telling
maintenance-
you that?
They don't have a permanent maintenance anymore. They had a volunteer in here. He moved out of here earlier this year. He was doing that's the hot water. Now come over here.
Not hot.
That's what you wash a baby in. I know that because I used to wash my nephews in water like that. Because you can't wash them in hot water because
Right,
of their
that's right,
sensor.
right.
And you have to get them out of that tub quick.
That's as hot as it gets?
It's going to get cooler.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God.
Now look at here. Look how long it's going to take this to get hot. See how it's already getting hot?
Yeah. Does it get cooler than that, or that stays like that?
No, that stays like that. And once that little warm water that you just felt right there goes out, it's going to be like the cold water. Now put your hand under there now.
Oh my God.
That's hot, right?
Yeah.
That's how the shower is too.
What?
It's hot. No, the shower's hot too. These are hot. Now go check that water and see how hot that's gotten so far.
Cold. I mean, not hot. Warm. You know, if that.
They've known
it's
about all
actually,
this. This exists in other units too, not just mine. Other units. There's something wrong with the plumbing. They have known this from the very beginning, and they have not done nothing about it. That window that you see over there, I open that every day. Every day, whether it's hot or cold. Every day, even if it's sprinkling a little bit. I can't lift it any much higher because I do have a problem, a nerve problem with my left side. So that's a problem there. And you can see if you even try, go
Yeah,
inside here. Now, like I say, I use that window every day. Now you tell me, if I use that window every day, why is it?
Oh, I can't even. Yeah, that you need really some force.
Now let me show you what the problem is. If you look inside the tractor,
Yep.
you see how the tracks are kind of bent?
Yeah.
Now that's the problem.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
you know why they're bent? Those are steel. Those are like metal. These, see, this was this building housed mental and PTSD patients. That's how come you'll see it. Now, 'cause I'll show you. This is what the housing authority let them get away with. You see that?
Yeah.
That's a lock.
Lock, right.
Now, what that was made for is what the staff would do for these patients. They would stick an Allen wrench in there, open the window about a foot, and then screw that back in so that the tenants couldn't get it and try to escape or go out for a while.
That's as high as it would go.
Right.
Right.
so it's a safety window, what I call it. It's a commercial window, as you can see.
Right.
It has no other lock on it.
Right.
Just that.
Right.
The housing authority said it has to be a permanent lock on there, which there does. So they epoxied that in there. They epoxied them in there. You can't pull that out. And the housing authority passed it with that. Now, they assumed, StepUp must have assumed, let me turn that down.
Yeah.
StepUp must have assumed when they took over and called the housing authority to come out here and inspect, they failed right away. Because the first thing that even the County of Los Angeles inspectors and housing authority, they looked under there. And you know those valves so you can turn your water off if it's leaking or something like that?
Absolutely.
They had the commercial ones. A commercial one consists of a socket-like tool. Like you go into a bathroom in any office building, if the sink's overflowing, you can't turn the water off underneath there. They have to get maintenance out there. That's how it was during 2016. This was not passed as a residential building. It's passed like all the other buildings that have a program, passed as a commercial dwellable building, not permanent residential. They were called on that right away and on that right away. They failed the inspection. So what happened was they had their maintenance crew come out here one day in the morning, and I guess they rescheduled the appointment for the inspectors to come the next day, but they couldn't finish it. They were here at 10 o'clock at night with all the water off, hot and cold water off. From 8 a.m. to 10 o'clock at night, no tenant had any running water. Because they wanted to finish it that night because they couldn't wait one more day and come back during regular business hours, which at that time were 9 to 3, the manager's office. I don't know what the maintenance department's hours were, but the manager's hours were 9 to 3. I have paperwork to prove that. So the manager, who hardly ever stayed here because he had a wife and a kid, because this has a live-in manager, he was hardly ever here. He'd be gone at night. His car wouldn't be back until morning because I could see out the laundry room right across there. I'd go out there in the middle of the night. I have a sleeping disorder. So I'm up at all times of night. His car would never be here. In the morning, it would be back there in the same place by 8 o'clock and he didn't start working until 9. So he wasn't even here. The security there, they had 24-hour security at that time. So the security guard who was here working from 3 to 11, I went and talked to him. He's now working in another building on this property. He remembers it well because he had to hear, the poor guy had to hear all the complaints from the tenants about what the hell is going on here. It's 10 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, no running hot water, no cold water, no nothing. You can't flush your toilet. You can't do nothing. I mean, that's ridiculous. But what happened was they stayed here till at 10 o'clock at night when I talked to him. His name was Ed. His name is Ed. When I talked to him at 10 o'clock, he said, I don't know what to tell everyone. Just that I have no control over it. So I came back in. So I don't know how long after 10 o'clock they were still here. The following day, they came back, the inspectors came back from the housing authority. They obviously couldn't wait one more day and come back and do it during business hours because they would have lost that one more day of rent money because it gets prorated. The longer it takes you to get, I'm a constructioner. I've got a new and old construction, commercial and residential. You can't fool me with that. So they decided that they're gonna have these guys sit here with all these this is a seniors living home, 55 and over. It's not just for anyone. It's all seniors, all veterans, and supposedly PTSD, mental issues, this and that. This company doesn't house homeless people. It only houses mentally supportive housing. All their housing is supportive housing. You have to have a mental condition, this and that, okay? So what they're doing is they let all these people just hanging like that, senior citizens like that all day, all night, just so they can have this, get it passed by tomorrow and not miss one day of their rent. This is what kind of scandals. Now, I'll show you my lease. On my lease, they automatically added on a package. That package consisted of phone, internet, and TV, $30 a month. And I already knew what my rent was going to be, $56. But they had already typed it in. When I walked in to sign my lease here in 2017, I said, what's this 112 something or 100? They said, well, that's your rent. I said, no, my rent is 56. What? Oh, that's for internet. I go, I don't want the TV service because I stream. I stream uncut movies and this and that. I don't need no commercial TV. They were charging. So she took that off. She took off the phone and she wrote on there how much I owe for the internet. I decided to save the internet. On the lease, you can see.
Cover any personal information, maybe? I don't know.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Well, Iris, you see, it will show my rent 56, and it will show what their package was again for the TV. You can see she scratched it out and wrote 18, 17, whatever. That was for the price of the internet. She scratched it out. Well, later in June, which I have the paper showing, the DirecTV guy was here. And he goes, okay, I'm here to install the boxes. I go, no. I didn't subscribe to it. I showed him that. He said, but management wants a box in every room. I said, okay, well, go ahead and install. And I go, you don't have to hook it up because I'm not going to be using it. He said, well, I have to. These are our boxes. And we got to code it in so I know this number, this box number is in this unit. So he did that to every unit. He said, it's not going to be in your name. It's just this unit. Well, I didn't plan on moving from here. And so when they came to collect boxes, they went to, in about a month, see what happened was they had, the VA had a cable already running here. It was a good setup. TNT, TBS, ESPN, USA, all, and the regular channels, regular network channels. Now, when they took over and all the boxes were installed, they disconnected that StepUp or the VA disconnected it, and all of a sudden everyone's TV had this $30 a month pack, this $30 a month that not DirecTV was charging, StepUp was. You were paying it to StepUp. That's what I'm saying. You can see if they put it in as part of the lease. This is not paid. This was not paid to DirecTV. I called them in right before 2018, and I talked to a person named Sam, and he told me, he goes, no, what it is, he says, that's a courtesy. That was a deal that was made with the landlord for you guys there. That was a courtesy. If you wanted to upgrade to better systems, then you would call us and we would upgrade it for you. They're not supposed to be charging anyone anything. That was our courtesy. So if you wanted to upgrade, then you would go ahead to us and then you would pay us. So people who did upgrade are paying DirecTV and the landlord for DirecTV service. When I started telling everyone this, when I found that out, I started telling other tenants. Some other tenants would say, oh, they said they're not charging us for that. They're charging us for the box and for the remote. The remote and the box, $7 each. That's a total of $14. But they're charging $30. But that wasn't true either. What Sam told me at that time, he said the boxes and the remotes are on loan to the landlord. On loan. They're not paying for nothing. They're responsible for them. It means if a box is stolen, they're responsible for it. They have to pay us for it, that box or that remote. Now, if they take it out of your deposit, that's different, but they're responsible for it. So they've been, and tenants who have gone to the social workers, who are management/social workers, as much as they've been denying it, they're saying, they said even if you upgrade, you still owe us $30 a month because you signed it on the lease, because they put it as part of the lease. So now you got to pay $30 and another $50 or $60 for your upgrade. So you're paying two people for one service, one direct service. This is what scandalous white collar, in my opinion, white collar criminals who are not satisfied making $1,800 a month for this little unit, things ain't working. Some of these units don't even have heat. Look at that chunk. I noticed that in July of 2021.
What is that?
It's coming out of that vent. See that one where it's focused right there?
Yeah.
It's coming out of there. Look at all that buildup right there. That's all coming from there. You can see it stops because I don't know what that. When I told the manager, the newest manager who came in at August about that, she goes, "Well, you're being evicted, so we can't do nothing about it." Housing Authority, her name is Melina Rodriguez, who's in charge, who's assigned to this building. She's known StepUp for years. In her own words, she said that. Her answer was every time I complained during recertification, she would come out here and we'd do our recertification in that multi-purpose room. Each time I would sit there and complain about the window. And she goes, "Well, keep putting in work orders." They don't give you work order numbers here because you would only have to put in one work order and that number, that work stays open until the job is done. But they're not required by law, which they're not, to give a work order. So I said, so I got to keep him, how many weekdays, years do I got to keep him? Obviously they're not going to fix it. And she goes, well, that's all. She goes, "I'm not even here for that. But you have knowledge of it. You've had knowledge of it since 2018, all the way up to now, which is 2022. And you've done nothing about it." And I confronted her about that in the multi-purpose room, about that.
It is hard to breathe in here. Like, it does feel like you're breathing in something weird. Like,
I smoke cigarettes, but who knows?
right.
I got asthma now. Who knows how much that's been contributing to me? And you're not the only one. Tenants have said the same thing. Newer tenants who just came, have a couple of them who have said, "What's wrong with the air in here?" I go, "What's the matter? Your air don't work?" He goes, "No, it's just stuffy. It's hard to breathe."
Thick.
Right. And another thing, when the air conditioning goes out, the unit goes out or something like that, which it went out for a month during this heat wave, but numerous times it was gone out. As you can see, this is central heating and air, but there's no off switch. So when it's really hot out here, when it's really hot outside, it's 80 degrees outside, it's at least 90 to 93 inside here. You would figure, well, let me turn off the air, but you can't. So you have hot air coming through this, which you can't turn off. So now you're forced to open your windows because it's actually the 80, 85 degrees is much cooler than it is in here. I usually leave and come back later on when the sun's gone. Now, people's fans have gone out. They're refusing to fix them, telling them that's not important. We just had a heat wave out here. And I'm sure you know that we had that heat wave. Well, here's what happened. AC out on July 10th, 2022. The AC, they didn't get working till August, over a month during that heat wave. I spent most of my time outside. I had that fan on high. I'd sleep with no blankets, just in a pair of shorts, with the window open. I'd even open those. I'm gonna have a little hard time, but I'll get that. This is what they just don't give a damn. Then the AC, when it came back in July of 24, August of 24, it went out again on August 26th. Then it came back on the 29th. Then it went out on the 30th.
That's during the heat wave.
Yeah. And the people whose fans weren't working, they weren't fixing them.
You've lived in this unit about 6 years, correct?
6 years, since 2016.
And in 2016, 2017, when you would have issues, how would they get fixed quickly?
No,
or
like I said, in 2016, it was a VA program.
Right.
See, they're not required. See, the heat didn't even work at all. There was no heat at all. There was air conditioning, but the heat didn't work. We were told by staff then, for the people who are going to be staying here, for you guys who are going to be elected to stay here, as soon as the landlord takes over, it's going to be privately run, they're going to be required to fix all that. Nothing
Nothing
happened.
happened.
And like I said, the thermostat, if you turn it up to 72, and then when it reaches 72, typically a thermostat will go off,
Correct.
and then it will go back on, and once the temperature, it doesn't, it just stays on. It just stays on. So if you've had enough cool air or hot air coming in, you have to turn this to either turn the temperature up to stop the cool air. Now warm air is coming out. So now all the cool air is being taken away by hot air. This is the AC guy, his name is Jeff. He said this is not a residential setup, it's a commercial setup. This is all run by steam. Our hot water depends on the VA, our hot water and our heat, through the old steam system. These used to have the old radiators in here. The old heat, hey, you know what I'm talking about, the radiator. Steam comes out, it turns into condensation and travels back to that. That's how come he said you can't shut this off, because it's steam. It has to be it's called a constant flow system. This right here in 2018, you can see there's no fan up there. That's an exhaust fan. That's an exhaust fan too. There's one more in the bedroom. It's controlled by a different unit. The AC guy told me there's 7 that goes throughout the unit. That was making so much noise. From 2018, it took them from 2018 to 2021 after constantly complaining. And I don't mean every day or every week. I would wait a month or two and ask them, oh, he was just here last week. Well, what happened? Oh, I forgot. This is the same excuse that they've been using. I forgot. I go, well, maybe if you guys had one of those erasable boards up here or a pad saying what things need to be done, you wouldn't forget. This is what they did. This is what they kept. These were the excuses. We can't fix the window. We can't replace the windows because they're historic. Well, but yet all these buildings are the same historic building, and they changed all the windows in those. And they wouldn't even fix these.
Does this building? I saw computers and things like that in the building.
Down there?
In the lobby.
That office that I showed you, that little office, that used to be the computer room when it was the CWT program. So we can go in there and, look for jobs. Well, they took, like I said, that weight room that I showed you was a weight room, stayed like that all of 2027, but StepUp decided to make that little room their office. Now, you saw Jimmy as he was walking to the end of that building because he said he's going to get someone. That's full of offices, about 10 offices. That was filled up with StepUp employees who had nothing. They were management, but they said, we have nothing to do with this building. We're management. So the landlord moved them out of whatever offices they were in before into here, into those offices. And the social workers who worked here permanently every day were crammed in that little office. So that's when Rebecca in 2018 or sometime in 2019 decided to move all the weights out, and you saw everything inside the TV room now. So, and now both of the offices like that. Now
you could catch your breath. Yeah, we're okay.
I suffer from anxiety too. I take medication for it. It's just getting me going.
This is not okay. This isn't suitable living.
It's
this is supposed to be a
uninhabitable
soldier's
in a way.
home that you're supposed to be living at with services and benefits because of your sacrifice. You're not supposed to, in my opinion, be paying $1. And certainly the conditions on $1 billion funded property that's originally donated to be 900 plus acres, this is unacceptable. And so I could only imagine how you feel because you're experiencing this, and I'm sorry.
And I was paying my rent all the time. They were getting their full amount of rent during this whole time. I could have stopped paying, but the way they were, because they were already planning, evicting me for a while now. I figured if I stop paying, they'll just contact their friend Molina at the housing authority, and then the housing authority has the right to just stop paying the landlord in behalf of me. And then that means I have to pay the full amount of rent. Well, I can't pay the full amount of rent, not that I would, not with this.
Right.
So that's when
What would the full amount of rent be? Do you know?
the full amount of rent is $1,808
So
for this one bedroom.
So there are disabled, 100% disabled veterans.
Yes, there is 100%
that are
disabled.
senior citizens.
Yes.
Paying $1,800 for what we're
For a
standing in right now.
One bedroom, and it's about $1,600. See, that went up. That's what blew me away. In 2018, they applied to the housing authority to raise the rent. I guess.
Raise the rent. I mean, this property is supposed to be for disabled and homeless veterans.
Right.
So why are we charging disabled and homeless veterans, and not that you're homeless, but anyone rent when there's thousands of homeless veterans on the streets? I mean, it makes no sense.
That's right. See, this rent was $1,500 for a one bedroom. The singles were $1,400. Now, this went up $300 after 1 year. Okayed by Molina Rodriguez, knowing the problems that exist in this building. How does the housing authority give the landlord the right to raise the rent? My rent, when I got that letter, it said the rent for this unit is now $1,800. Now, for some reason, my portion didn't get affected. It didn't get affected. They were getting $300 more a unit for this. Now, as far as I know, you can only raise the rent. They can only, I don't know how it's like 10% a year, and that's based on cost of living for them, maintenance that they do. What maintenance? When those two buildings were empty, that building, the front, looked more. The VA was still not manicuring it, but once a month they'd come through and cut the weeds and everything. This place had the weeds and everything growing like 3 feet long. This building looked more abandoned than the two empty buildings because they would wait till all that came out. The gardeners would spend a whole day in here to clean it up. They'd have the volunteer maintenance guy who was smart enough to go out there after the rain and pull the weeds out by the roots. He was doing this for free, something that they weren't paying the landlord, the gardeners, to do. And now you can see there is no front yard. And you can see how this building's run down. Yeah. In my opinion, and those are going to be run the same. I don't know for sure. I think they're going to be run the same because I got so much paper showing how many times we have been shut down without heat and without hot water because the VA is working on the old steam to upgrade it throughout the years.
Is there anything specific we should see in here, or should we go outside? And then I want to talk about your court case if you'd like to do that.
Okay.
But we could go to, if there's anything else we should see on the property.
There's other units. Okay, so you know, there's other units here that some don't even have the heat. See, it's not efficient enough to run this whole building.
But should we go see if what else there is out here? Is that?
Oh, I'll show you.
So this one bedroom, $1,800. Veterans are paying for on the National Soldiers Home.
They're in the security office where they hand out the mail now. Where they hand out the mail, they have boxes, they have slots. So here's what upsets me. You see, that's where our mail. How come they can put them in a slot, but they can't put them in the mailbox?
I see. Yeah, the mailbox they don't use. They want to hand it to you.
Now, you know what the problem is here too? This is just my opinion. There's Cal Vets over here. It's called California Homes. It's run by the state. The state built it. They're totally independent. Anything that affects us doesn't affect them because they got their own. They even have gas there. These are all electric. Everything's electric here. So they're independent. The only way that the mailman would deliver the mail to this building and in those boxes is if it had its own address. Now, if these 3 buildings and that other building that you saw down there at 207, that you probably saw that construction, that's gonna be another one. That's now the mail's gonna be slowed down more. Because see what happens is, if they give this its own address, it's not part of the VA anymore.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? Because all these VA buildings are on one address. So if they were to give this their own address, it would also have a different zip code, and the mailman would bring the mail into this building and put them in the boxes. But the VA ain't doing that. This is just my opinion. It's because it would separate the VA.
Wow,
It would
that's
separate
interesting.
because this would have its own address. It wouldn't be part of 11301 Wilshire Boulevard. The street name out front there, this would have that address. And all 3 of these buildings can have the same address. Same address, building 1, building 2, and building 3. But the VA is not going to do that because this is part of the original VA. These buildings are owned by the VA.
Interesting.
So you see, that's why the thing is. And they've known about this since 2017. They started issuing mailbox keys, like I said, earlier this year. And now they sent out a notice saying the VA has not granted or allowed to have mail. Then why were you making new keys when you guys knew this from the very beginning? You guys have been putting the mail up there. And they had 24-hour security here. They don't anymore. They got rid of them. Well, they got rid of them because they ended up owing them a lot of money. They weren't even paying the security. Some of those security guards still were the same company that the VA had. Some of those security officers were working in this building in 2016.
Oh, here,
in 2016, when it was a VA program. Okay? Now, they stayed here.
How you doing?
There's no filming in the building though.
What do you mean?
You can film in tenant houses, but not in the main spaces.
Oh, well, so I noticed there's cameras here all over the main
Those are
spaces.
security cameras, yeah.
Right, so typically, unless we're in like a prison, the people who live here would be able to film just as freely as the
Not unless you have
homeowners
staff
or the
permission.
management. Huh, excuse
You
me?
need the landlord's permission and all the tenants
Oh,
living.
okay. Who's the landlord?
StepUp.
And who would I call? Could you write down their name and number?
The owner's name, I think I told you the owner's name already.
Yeah,
I'll
if
give you
you-
Amber's desk phone.
Excuse me?
I'll give you the desk phone for.
Well, is that going to ring
Property
here? Or where?
No, that's front desk.
If you could write it down, that'd be great. What do you do here?
I'm assistant property manager, and once again, no filming.
So I have a question. Some residents here.
No filming.
Okay, well, I'm going to continue. So call the cops or do whatever you have to do. I had a question though. Some residents here are having trouble opening their window, and typically
That's
in a
all for now.
residential. Excuse me.
I'll give Weibel the
What?
phone.
You skip
Please
what?
let go.
Please let go of what?
I'll give Weibel the phone. I already told you no filming.
I know. Just can I get your name, sir?
You can ask your guests.
Excuse me.
Ask the tenant.
Ask the tenant what?
Please remove your hand.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, though. I was just trying to ask you your name, sir. If you work here. You- She's outside.
Come on. This elevator been out for a year because we were able to use this stick your card in there. Can't even use it anymore. You can see how small this one bedroom is. Now just think that living room we were just inside and my kitchen, that's about how big the singles are. That's about, every person in there has their own little space here because the heating is not efficient enough to even heat these units. Those commercial windows have no kind of weather stripping or any kind of insulation. The cold air just comes in.
Let me ask you a quick
We're
question.
totally
That-
dependent on the VA, but yet the VA says we have nothing to do with that build. So it's your project, you guys built it, and you have nothing to do with it.
Let me ask you a question. That gentleman, he said he works for the building property manager.
He works for the StepUp on Second.
Is he someone that you helps with these concerns with the window?
He's a pretty nice.
He's nice.
Yeah,
No, and that's good. I mean,
I've had no problem. He's understandable.
That's
you know,
good.
this and that. Oh, and
That's amazing.
Let me just before we go on.
I appreciate you sharing that.
We're gonna go out to the gun. And let me show you. Here's another reason why I said that this place has never been by the city or county of LA. Look at this.
Oh, that's like commercial.
Yes, this is what's throughout the VA, the same ones, and we don't have a key for it. No,
it's
they
just
didn't give no
So
keys.
it's just in the way.
Right, and look how close it is.
Yeah.
Even if
And it's
they couldn't put it
inoperable.
here because it would be in the way here. This is what I think personally, that the VA, if this building did get inspected as a dwellable commercial building, they put this in here to give away, to make it look more commercial. Because this is not a residential thing. And guess what they said? You can't modify anything in this building. It's on part of the lease. But when I put in a work order to have them change it, they said, no, you can go ahead and change it. You can go ahead and take it out and put your own in. Now that's modifying it already. Now that's going to leave 6 holes in there. And you can see it's even cracked over here. It took off the formica when they were putting it in. You see right there. You can see right there. So now they're saying, yeah, so let the paying tenant take this off, patch up the holes, and then repaint it, and then put in their own, because they didn't want to spend the labor and the time for their maintenance to do it. So they leave this commercial thing in here. Now this man right there, yeah, he is good. He said he replaced one. I talked to him a little while ago. He said, yeah, it was a hassle and this and that. So he did replace one for someone. All these things are starting to happen now since Ryan got involved and everything, and this court thing's coming up. But yet you can see they have done nothing still to come, because their excuse now is, well, you're being evicted. Well, as long as I'm still living here, you guys refuse my rent, I'm still a tenant till I leave. They don't care.
Did they give you a notice to leave or vacate?
Oh yeah.
30 day, 60 day, what is it?
30-day notice. And when I first called they first tried doing this in 2021. I got my first 30-day notice in like September. That's when they refused my rent. Here. This is from the then manager. We're on like a 7th or 8th manager. They're refusing my money, refusing my rent, refusing the rent at that time. And then there's a money order. I have to go down and get that money back from the money order company. Now I got my...
What was the reason you got the 30-day notice? You know, obviously one day...
For cussing at them.
For cussing?
For cussing at them.
May I see the 30-day notice? Do you have it by chance? And I guess, were you given any notices before? Like, were there any write-ups documented? Or?
Yeah, I got the write-ups. It's also on the case number right here. All the write-ups are in here.
That's it?
That's the actual court case, the Santa Monica court. They originated in Santa Monica. That's where they're from, in '94. That's when they debuted.
StepUp on Second, correct?
Yeah. All the write-ups are in there. They twist words around, they leave out things that was said, and they add stuff to it. And the thing is, it's always my word against 2 or 3 of theirs. And who are they going to believe? People go, well, 3 people said you said this, you're saying you didn't. People go with the majority. They stick together like a good team. That's it.
We're going to try to really share what's going on and make sure that you have a lot of support for October 31st, because that's where your court hearing is in Santa Monica.
Santa Monica Court, Department S, room 218, at 8:30 a.m. Now, here's another interesting thing. They said it wasn't going to be a jury trial. I got this. I got this in the mail on October 10th. No, yeah, October 2nd, 22. Mandatory settlement conference is scheduled for 10/31/2022 at 8:30 a.m. in Department at Santa Monica. Under it, it says jury trial is scheduled the same date at the same time. Ryan said, I want one of those. He wants, yeah, he wants. I don't know. Why am I gonna have a jury trial and then a mandatory settlement? Now this is from the attorney, not the court.
I want people to know, because I'm on a live stream, and NHDVS is Ryan. The gentleman, Bill, in the video has mentioned Ryan a couple times, and I just want people to know that NHDVS in the comments, you see I've pinned his comment, that is Ryan, and he's the expert researcher of the National Soldiers Home and an advocate for many veterans all over Los Angeles. So it's a good point of reference that if you hear him keep saying Ryan, that's NHDVS. I've pinned the comment. Sorry.
Ryan gave me documents. He sent me some documents. I went ahead and put them on my email. The landlord in 2021 in December filled out an application from the Treasury for a tax-exempt loan for $20 million to remodel this building. This building was fully remodeled from top to bottom, inside and out, and was opened up in late 2015. I came here in 2016. Now he's claiming they don't want to fix the windows because they say historical, but in that paperwork, I don't know if Ryan showed you, he's claiming they're going to replace all the windows, put in new cabinets, new floor, new roof, totally do everything that the taxpayers paid through the government to have it done. So that was what, less than 7 years ago. And now I said this to some tenants inside the multi-purpose room back in a few months ago in June or something like that. And one of their employees was in there. He helps with the computers. He's a good guy, but he's still an employee. So when I mentioned this to him, and I showed it, and I was showing tenants to go, what? What's that all about? He's claiming that this is an empty office building.
Right. Right. They wanted the taxpayers to believe that this was empty and it was
in
a tax.
2021, when it's been open since 2016.
I believe they got $20 million for that renovation while you were living here.
And you know what they told the tenant? A week later, they started putting out notices saying, we're going to have a meeting about the rehab in the building. You know what they told us a week later in that meeting? So a total of 2 weeks from the time that I presented all this paperwork to tenants, I took my computer in there and showed them. 2 weeks later, they had that meeting, and they said, well, we're going to be replacing the ovens, replacing the refrigerators, and the microwave. And they're going to be doing painting. They mentioned nothing about what I just said about totally renovating this building. That it's empty, and all this stuff is going to be put in. All this stuff which has already been done here. They mentioned nothing about that. Now, you tell me, how are 54 refrigerators, microwaves, and stoves going to cost $20 million?
Thanks.
Even if they were made out of solid platinum, they wouldn't cost that much. This is what they're passing off, taking advantage of mentally disabled veterans. And this is my opinion, that's why they only house their supportive housing. They don't just house the vulnerable homeless, because the homeless are vulnerable. Their only housing is for mental disabled people. And they call that supportive housing. Now, like I said, homeless people are vulnerable. Mental people, whether they're mental issues or not, which I have some, whether they're homeless or not, are already very vulnerable and very susceptible to being deceived and and make you believe something. Well, that's not the true case in here with them, because most people are fed up. This place has been a revolving door since the landlord took over. The first year, every unit was empty. Full. Full. There was no heat at all in the whole building until the heat wasn't actually fixed until early 2019 when this new AC guy Jeff came. That's when it started working. And heat in this state is mandatory by law in a residential apartment. AC is not. So these are the kind of things. And like I said, he fixed that noise inside the vent. See the units down below me. It's a big unit that's on a bracket and braces and held up. What that does, it serves as two purposes. The exhaust in my unit, and it also served for cooling some. I think the yellow, something down there. And then Jeff told me then, he goes, I can't turn the unit off because it's serving for something else. There's 7 of those units throughout the building. Now there's other units that had that same noise. You know what they told that maintenance guy, Jose, to do? The guy who put up those, I showed you on the front doors, putting up those little strips instead of the solid piece.
Yeah.
He told me that, he said, yeah, he came up with some cardboard. What he was gonna do is take off the vent cover, stick a piece of cardboard up there, and then stick the vent back up. That's how and he said, that's how I've been doing it to the guys on second floor. I go, so you guys are shutting off the exhaust, blocking the exhaust, and that's a fix? There's no windows in these bathrooms. They didn't bother putting windows in. That's the only source of getting steam, heat, or odors up.
Oh my God.
Right.
Oh man.
And this is a solid core door. Every social worker from the first crew in 2018 all the way to the new crew, all the managers, the security people came in. That's a solid core door. That noise, because part of it would come out through there. Whenever they come in, I go, can you hear that? They go, yeah, that is loud. I'd have to turn the TV up because you get a lot of quiet moments in TV. And this irritating noise, 24 hours a day for 3 years, from 2018 to 2021. And I said, so you fixed it. It's working good now. He came up here after he fixed it, Jeff. He said, it's not fixed. They need a new setup. The reason is that hasn't been maintained in 3 years. He said, it's like a car. You don't take care of your oil. You're gonna instead of buying 2 quarts of oil, you're gonna buy a new motor because you're gonna burn your motor out. He said, what happened is that thing's full of pulleys, valves,
So
this
they
and
spent
that.
20 million. They kept 20 million. I don't think they spent anything. I think they spent something on some microwaves and stuff, but they didn't fix the
No,
actual.
they didn't replace that stuff.
They
yet.
didn't even replace it?
No, this is still the old
this is
stuff
actually
since
the older-
2017.
Oh my God, I thought at
Actually,
least you
this
got
is
a new fridge or a new
No,
mic.
this is still the same stuff from when it was a
Oh
VA
my
program.
God.
This, and this, everything they're
Oh
saying that
my
they're going to
God.
repair. It's nothing to be said yet, and there's nothing being said about it.
Oh my God.
So I probably don't need to go through any more things on what's going on in this building.
No,
like
this
I said,
is
with the hot
super
water,
informative.
There's
I mean-
something internally wrong with the plumbing because some people have just as much hot
So
water.
you never even got a fridge and a microwave. The things they said that you would get, you never even got.
No, the new stove.
Like the bullshit that they even said you would get, you didn't get.
Yeah,
I
all the
can't-
people are still using the same thing.
Oh
Some
my
people
God.
bought their own refrigerators.
Oh my
Because
God.
they don't have refrigerators. Right, you can go into some of these units, they all got their own
Oh
refrigerators.
my God. Let's show me anything else around the building if worth seeing, if you think, and then or we can just go kind of in the front and.
Okay, I'm gonna take you out to the garden.
All right.
Because I'm gonna show you. Whether there's programs or whatever, all the buildings like domiciliary and a new direction.
Mm-hmm.
This building, you see, it doesn't matter whether it's privately run. You can only come in one door. You can go out any door you want, but you can only come in through one door. That is a VA rule. The VA, as much as it says they have nothing to do with it, you got to treat it like a private manor. They're still going by VA rules. The toilet's leaking, the seals, it makes noise all day, 24 hours a day. This guy, he's probably home. He's had it for 3 years. There was a broken toilet out there. He took it apart and kind of fixed it. I was in there before. We said, don't flush the toilet because it'll never stop. He had to turn the water off to stop making noise. He just fixed it on his own. Now look at this. You can't get in to the key thing.
That doesn't
That's
work?
why,
That key
no,
thing?
it was working for a little bit. It never worked. It never worked throughout the whole time. Out front there where you see the new construction, that used to be the smoking area. When they shut that smoking area down, they made it to the side patio there where we came in. And then they stopped that, and so they fixed that. But they keep breaking. You can see that. Same thing here. This is our backyard, our garden. As you can see, there's a key thing for it. That thing to, yeah.
Oh, I see.
They had never, since they took over, given us a key to get into this building. When this first happened back in there was people out here in wheelchairs. The only way they can get in is to wait for someone to come out, or they have to go out through the gate there, go all the way around, and they're all the way around completely to the front door where that security office was.
So
Because
this remains open, and if this closes, it's not used. You can't go in.
you can't go in.
So does
The
this
card
always,
won't
is this
work.
always open?
It's always open.
I mean, that's a little bit of a security thing if you
Well,
don't have an entrance.
Oh, how you doing? That's Steve right there. Steve,
How you doing,
this is
sir?
Senator. I just was telling him, about how the toilet, and you have to fix it because when he moved in here, it just never even worked right.
Yeah, and I had the manager look at it, and I had a maintenance guy look at it, and he said, it's fine.
And it wasn't.
It just runs, it leaks, it's just always, you can always just hear the water.
Still to this day.
Oh, yeah,
And they said it's fine.
yeah, but
Another guy
I
just
gave
moved.
up working on it. I mean, I do live with it.
I'm
I
recording,
just
so I
kinda-
don't want to. Don't want to record you unless you mind
Sure,
sharing.
sure, but, we have real bad access to the building.
Do you mind sharing this on video? What
Sure.
you're saying? Okay.
Sure. Because we had key cards, those little plastic key cards, and mine expired, and it took them over 10 days.
Oh, wow.
Took them 11 days to get the
Is this Scotty coming?
No.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing, bro?
How you doing?
How are you, buddy?
Good to see you.
Yeah, you
It's
too.
been a while.
guys
Is
know
this
each
where you
other.
live?
Huh?
You live here?
Yeah.
How is it? Yeah, I know Skylar. Hi. This is Scotty, Bill, Scotty.
We know each
Oh,
other.
you all know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was documenting what's going on in the building.
I don't think this thing.
Um,
Access is a big issue.
Now,
There's
you
half the doors I can't get in. We keep this door propped open 24 hours a day just so we can get into the building. Because my room is right here. I don't have to go all the way around the building to get in. The pantry, we have a food pantry downstairs. We haven't had a supply for 2 weeks now. And I asked the staff about it today, and they said, well, we're not obliged to do that. And it's like, well, we've been doing it for like 6-7 years, and suddenly they don't want to give us food anymore. And we rely on them, or they didn't give us any notice.
Partially.
Yeah, but they didn't give us any notice about it or or tell us. Other things, we used to have all kinds of activities, and they're all gone. We had a music class, we had a cooking class, we used to have bingo, we used to have Brentwood would come over and do a music.
COVID
Concert.
was part of that because
Yeah.
they stopped that during the COVID.
But COVID's over. We've had a computer station in the basement that's been shut down because of COVID, and it's still shut down. There's 2 computers at the internet station for
What
the
you
guys.
saw down there.
Yeah, that's been shut down for 2.5-3 years now. Our internet in this building is very shaky. It's always dropping, so if you try to use the internet, it's just
It switches
Yeah.
from the network is called Resident 209. Now people are going off and on the internet. You'll see it switch from Resident 209 to 2092, 2093,
I see.
209. The network's changing it. So when you're online and someone else is going on, it changes. Yours stops because they're too cheap to even fix
there's
that
not enough
correctly.
bandwidth. They just so when it just gets
I have
jammed
my own
up.
internet.
how
I
about
have that
mail?
T-Mobile.
How's mail?
You got to go pick it up. They tried to get us our own keys, which I have the key to the mailbox, and then they said the VA won't let them do it. So we have to go to the desk They have an hour in the afternoon, a half hour in the afternoon and a half hour in the morning where we can go get our mail instead of having it delivered.
As soon
and
as-
when there's so many people touching our mail, the post office touches it, the VA touches it, then this staff has to touch it. So it's just a setup for. In fact, I lost a package over the summer. It was supposed to be delivered by UPS, by the mail service. I never got it. They said it was delivered here. Somebody stole it or misplaced it or whatever. Our trash issue out here with the dumpster, we didn't have a dumpster for a week and a half last week. We had trash. Did you see that? Did you?
No.
I'll show you a picture of it. We had trash piled up on the loading dock because there was no place to put it. Me and a couple other guys went out there and finally just got rid of it because they put a dumpster across the street that's not even for our use. And then they said we're not supposed to use it after we put all our trash in it.
But that was because
So we
they changed companies.
Yeah, well, they
And
should
it
have.
took them, and everyone's
Took them a
trash
week.
was all over the document.
It was a mess. It stunk like hell. I mean, it was.
Do you mind sharing how much you pay to live here a month?
My rent is $338. That's the part that I pay. The total rent is somewhere around 15 something a month, 1600.
We're
a
living a
month.
little single.
So
I got
your
a little
benefits,
tiny-
your
I-
benefits pay for the remainder,
I get the VASH voucher, the HUD VASH voucher.
and then 300 on top.
No, that's what I pay.
Oh, I
And
understand.
then the VASH voucher picks up about 1,200, I guess.
Right,
every month.
it's like 30% of your income.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're making $3,000 a month, 30% of that, you're paying over $1,000 for one of these units for this little crap.
The more you make, the more you pay here.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
This
So that's
doesn't
why-
sound like it's what it was intended. Like this
Well,
is supposed to
That's
be
how the
a.
housing authority works.
It's
They're the
supposed
ones
to
that
be.
calculate that. It's the housing authority that calculate. See, when you're on section, you have to go to the housing
Right,
authority.
right. But you,
A lot of it was that when they first started, it was to get the homeless guys off the street and stuff. And it was supposed to, I mean, it doesn't have to be low income, but if you make a lot of money, you just pay more rent. And then a lot of guys just don't even want to deal with it because there really isn't any benefit if you're paying that kind of money. You can go downtown and get yourself a spot, you know?
absolutely.
So-
I mean, it's my opinion. This land was donated in 1880 to be a veteran's home.
veteran's home.
900 plus acres, and it's actually specific. When I read the deed, I'm not a veteran,
Mm-hmm.
but it's supposed to say that it's not. You're not supposed to feel like you're getting a handout. It's
Right.
actually supposed to be like a thank you for what you've already sacrificed. Thank you
Right.
for your service already, and just please enjoy. Essentially,
Right.
it's not a handout. And the idea that you're
They don't
paying
even
to
know about
live
the deed.
on veterans' land that's supposed to be for disabled and or homeless veterans is mind-boggling.
Well, they're making a lot of money and they're opening up more buildings and they're going to charge rent to everybody. The VA kind of just stepped aside and leased everything out and let everybody else manage it. They're probably getting their kickback.
They've even said, the VA and StepUp has said that we got a long-term lease contract, like 50 or 70 years, which means, and they're controlling it not as management, but as the owners. They call themselves the owners.
They do.
We pay our rent to them. They're responsible for all maintenance in and out, and that's on the lease.
When they first started working on these buildings 2.5 years ago, which was taking way too long.
2020 they started.
Yeah, the guy like the head contractor was over there, and I was talking to him, and he goes, "Yeah, I just bought all these buildings." I said, "You can't buy these buildings. They're owned by the veterans and the Veterans Administration, and they're caretaking it for the veterans." He goes, "Well, I got a long-term lease. It's basically like buying it, you know." And I'm going, "Wow."
That's what they're considering,
And
that
that's-
long-term
Yeah,
lease.
and
that
here
they're
it's use
owners.
lease. In fact, in the PACT Act, what happened is they extended the 75 enhanced use lease to 99 years.
So what do you think the taxpayers would think if some taxpayers came in here and said, this is what we're paying for, this is what we pay the government to redo and turn it over to some slumlords from Santa Monica who have been running this building down? That's exactly what they're gonna do to those two buildings.
They just really
That's
neglect
just my
a lot of
opinion.
stuff. You know, we've got all these key card machines around the whole building, but none of them are working anymore. They're all outdated and
And they won't, like you said, they won't even give us a key so we can get in these doors.
Yeah.
Has there been any staff that's been super helpful or very unhelpful to the point where it's
They come
hurting
and go.
veterans?
It's the management usually. The clinical staff is okay, But I was talking to my case manager today about the pantry, and she goes, well, we're not obliged to do that. And I go, yeah, I know, but we kind of got used to it. It's been like part of the package, you know, and suddenly...
The guy that I spoke with that mentioned he was going to call the cops maybe, is he the guy that you
Zach's
would
pretty good.
speak with about the pantry
Zach,
or no?
you can talk to commies.
Yeah.
You can see how mellow he was.
Yeah.
He didn't have an attitude like Jimmy Miranda,
Correct.
the one who walked down on it. He's the one who took my HUD VASH. And that's how come I didn't fill out my recertification. I told the judge this during the first hearing. I said, if the landlord does not accept my rent, that means they're not entitled to any rent. So I didn't fill out my recertification. So since April, the end of April, they have not gotten a penny for that unit that I live in.
And you've been
And that's
saying,
pretty much burning them up, because that crook, white-collar criminal landlord was hoping, and their friend at the housing, you know what she said to me, Molina Rodriguez from the Housing Authority? She said, that can change. I go, how do you know? I go, they evicted me in 2021. I won it because of COVID. I didn't have to show up to court. They couldn't wait till the beginning of 2022 to refile again, a different case number, but for the same thing. Plus, they accused me of breaking the front door window, breaking the key card thing, which I showed you, this and that. The newest manager, and his name was Nigel Beckles. He's gone from here now.
so the people basically making accusations on veterans that really affect their records end up just leaving or being transferred
The thing
after they
was-
affect the record.
The thing was, the
Five
key cards,
managers since I've been here.
the key cards were still working then. So I asked the manager, I go, let me ask you something. I got my key card in late 2020, before you guys got rid of all the 24-hour security. My key card is still working. So why would I break the machine, the posting, break the window, and break something inside the lobby like you're accused? You know what he said? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, neither do I. My card works. My card stopped working in like August, late August, because all the cards stopped working. They're blaming the last manager before him for taking a piece from the key card machine, saying it doesn't work, because they didn't want to spend the money to buy a new one. That's how come they're doing the key thing. It's cheaper.
My key card quit about 3 weeks ago, and I took them 10 days to get me one. So I have a key to my door, and I have a key to the loading dock door. But, you know, like I say, my room is right here.
Right.
I can't even, so we propped this door open, and they have a big notice here, keep this door locked and clear. But we don't follow that, because we don't have to, why should I have to walk all the way around the
Right.
building?
Maybe if the doors worked properly, you would follow the rules, but
We used to all the time. I
Right.
mean, I come out at night and make sure it's secure when nobody's out here in the
yeah.
middle of the night.
At the end of the day, you're the most vulnerable with this door open, right?
And, you know, my room's right there.
Yeah.
Not to think, not just that.
Yeah.
This place is full of field mice, rats. It's
nothing bad.
coyotes are always out here. There's been a few bobcats, plenty of snakes. There's already mice inside there. On any given day, you can walk and just see a mouse.
Yeah, we
It's
got
just
rats
a
in the
matter of
basement.
time. It's just a matter of time before this building is going to be infested with mice and rats. Now, of course, are they going to do anything about it? In my opinion, no, because they don't live here. They're only here for 8 hours a day. They don't give a damn about nothing. You know what this landlord is? A money collector, period. Who not even, as a landlord, he knows he's required to fix those windows. He's required to fix the plumbing. He's required to fix all this stuff, but he refuses. I even start thinking, why is he like that? Does he think he's being protected by the government? Well, he's not, because the government says that this is privately run.
Right.
So that means he's required. So you see, there's a bunch of in-between crap going on
I have
here.
a question. So we're on federal land, but this is privately run. So if you were to call the police, who's supposed to come? Is it VA police? Because if this is privately run,
You can call the sheriffs or the West LA, but they call the VA police, and every time the VA police has come out, when they call them on me, all they do is listen to my story and they leave.
Yeah.
No.
Now the thing is, the sheriff's department or the LAPD would not continue to come out for these lame ass complaints because they don't like hearing the truth,
Right.
or because I'm cussing. Well, why is he cussing? Oh, you guys aren't fixing nothing. It's been years. Of course. So the VA police just don't do nothing about it. They even say you can call the sheriff's department, and if they ask you, well, don't you guys have a police department there? Just say it's not VA business. The VA police are here for VA business. This is privately run, just like you just said. It's not VA business. because the VA even says we have nothing to do with it.
And there's
We
been
built
a
it.
dispute, like the VA at one time said, well, who has authority here? Who has jurisdiction? So it's really up in the air. The VA does come by and they'll walk through the building if there's something going on.
They're first responders.
Yeah, but it's the sheriffs that actually take people to jail.
Yeah.
The VA doesn't take anybody to jail. They take you to 500 and put you in the psych ward for a few hours till the doctor says you can leave. So,
And now,
you know, we had 900 acres once. We're down to 400 because they gave it all away. Well, the freeway and the baseball fields and
The
Brentwood
homes
School,
as well.
all
now
that
we're gonna
stuff.
have Metro
yeah.
coming through here.
That's
They
our
eliminate
land.
they're gonna build new apartments. See 'em back
It's
to that
actually at
building?
388 is what they want to
Is that
say.
what it is?
Yeah, because
388?
22 acres is Brentwood School,
Right.
and which is deemed illegal according to the Office of Inspector General.
Right.
We just heard Congressmember Ted Luce state publicly that anything on this property that doesn't directly benefit veterans is illegal and
Well,
should
that's
be
what
off the land.
That's what the judge said about 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
When they started doing all the master planning. But I've been around here for 8 years on this campus and through all the programs, and it's barely getting their shit together.
Were you in the
property-
workers' compensation program before?
I did CWT but at a different location.
And was that helpful?
Yeah, it got me some money and got me off my butt a little bit.
It's the opposite of what is today, right?
This isn't CWT.
Before you were getting paid to learn a trade and live, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Now
And now you're paying to have all of these resources and services denied.
In back
Right.
of that building, there used to be a giant parking lot there for all people on all these buildings around here. They used to park down there and walk up. That they tore that parking lot down. They took the softball field away from the veterans. They're going to be building a big privately run another apartment building there, or two of them. Now that's supposedly going to be for veterans and their families, though. Has nothing to do with that's what's supposed to be.
what they
They're
say.
running their own right. Who knows what it's going to be, though. So this place has turned into one big business. And who's involved in it?
I
The
think,
government.
yeah, I think it's
And what
fraud
does the
rather than
government like
business.
the
You
most?
know,
Money.
The VA should have.
sorry.
The VA should have been in charge of the whole
Yes, sir.
place instead of leasing it all out and giving up authority to private, for profit. I mean, they call themselves a nonprofit, but they're all getting a big fat paycheck.
Right.
They're all getting paid. And the thing that pisses me off the most is that we become second rate. It's all about the staff and about the companies that are on campus, and we become like a nuisance almost to them. It's like, hey, we wish the veterans weren't even here, except we like their money. It's and then like all the they got a restaurant and a little store over here. They close at 2:00 in the afternoon. I mean, that's just because they're basically just here for the staff.
Well, a lot of
they're bringing more guys onto
Right.
campus, and they have less. There's no recreation at all on this campus.
A lot of conditions I see are truly run more like a prison. I mean, an example is you have security cameras everywhere, but they tell you can't film.
Right.
The only place that exists, as far as I know, are like jails. I mean, that's where you watch everybody, you surveil everybody,
Right.
and you tell them you can't, do the same.
Like I said, they even have I found out that in this state at least, a residential apartment cannot have video surveillance in there. They have them in the elevator here.
Right.
That's how much they want to watch it.
Yeah.
Now the VA has nothing to do with this. Why did they spend the taxpayers' money on all this surveillance?
And they say it's being recorded, but I have my doubts about that because there's nobody at the security desk to watch the monitors anymore.
Right.
So we got cameras. That doesn't even look like it works anymore, does
Right,
it?
right. It's all a little bit of a facade,
Yeah.
a lot of the things
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. I mean that fountain out there that's never ran.
That fountain's never
Wow.
ran.
Fountain has never ran.
Ever one time?
I've never seen it. I've been here.
You
over
see all
3
this?
years.
This man got through clearing this out. This is just
You
just
cleaned it
recently.
out?
Yeah, just recently. Well, we've been working on this whole garden area.
This organization has done nothing to maintain it. Look at all this stuff.
They had gardeners and we fixed them out of here.
See all these lights here for nighttime?
Yeah.
Come on by. Only 2 of them work. They've been going out one by one. They refuse to even check. See all these plants? These were just put in here by the tenants.
Wow.
By the tenants.
That's
All
so
this-
beautiful.
All this was done by the tenants. not by the landlord. Now I'm going to show you a quick video that Ryan took when he was here on what it looked like before these veterans took over. This is what we're doing.
Hey, very nice to meet you, sir. Thank you for sharing.
They've been coming through here, cleaning this whole place up. A certain few people, veterans, one certain veteran bought all these flowers and plants to
This
put,
is beautiful.
because this was all looked like hell here.
Who did that? I would love to. Like, that's so beautiful.
See that?
You guys could grow so much vegetation. You could grow, eat. Oh wow, monarch. You see that butterfly?
Yeah.
That's a big one.
They have some veggies growing here, some peppers and stuff like that. So there's some good stuff here. See, they used to have Brentwood. Brentwood had volunteers coming out here for therapy and about growing stuff and helping the veterans. They stopped coming here because of the COVID. So since then, this place was run down. What you see how this place looks right now was all done by certain veterans here who come out here, not on a daily basis, but 2-3 times a week. And on the weekends, we barbecue here.
I know some landscapers. I'm gonna have talks with them. If they would donate just anything you guys would want, maybe you guys then plant them and do fun stuff.
If there's someone
Because you
who
guys
would
could make
donate-
some really good vegetation. You could have a whole veggie.
They
and
did have other vegetables growing.
Does Scotty do a lot of planting?
He's been getting involved in it. He just moved in
He
here.
does some
No, he's
succulents
been here
and
for
stuff.
like-
Maybe
he's been
one
involved.
maybe
It's
one
good
year.
therapy.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
good
it is.
therapy. He used to collect these plants too. Have you been planting succulents, Scotty? You've been planting? You've been planting these
Yeah.
It looks good. It looks real good.
You see that guy Steve, this thing was
Wow.
all the way out there on the walkway. Like I said, most of these lights, he took care of that. He just got through doing it. Trimming it back. He's not a gardener, but look at
No, he did a great job. And this is
and-
really healing and
and the
therapeutic.
gardeners that they have come here now who only blow out the concrete in the front there. They've never stepped foot back here to do anything because that would cost the landlord more money. This is all being done by all the tenants. Has nothing to do with StepUp or any of their employees or their gardeners. This is all being done by the veterans who are paying rent to do it. They're fixing their garden back.
Wow. Wow. So
This is
I mean, oh man, this is.
it's unfathomable. It really is. And that the VA.
Should we go throughout
Shame
this
on
way
the
back to the
VA.
front?
Shame on the VA for saying we have nothing to do with it. You guys built this, it's your project, but yet they're getting their portion. You know they are.
Absolutely.
You know that they're getting their portion. That's their only involvement in this now. Is the money. Isn't that what it's all about?
It's such a shame. Well,
The gardeners, they do a little bit of stuff and trimming here, and they, like I say, they blow out the concrete,
yeah.
and that's all. They have never stepped a foot back there to do anything.
wow.
Nothing.
Well, you know,
That's
I'm
all
not
done
glad
by
that
the
no one's
tenants.
doing anything, but I'm glad that the veterans are taking it in their own hands.
Because
and I think it's therapeutic, it's beautiful, and it goes to show that
They don't mind the fact that they're paying all this money for this building being run down and the landlord doing nothing about it at all. They're spending their money, which they're already paying rent to the landlord. They're spending their own money to fix that up.
and the taxpayers are paying many times over for you to live here as well.
Now, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you, I wanted to show you that for a simple reason. This has, come on inside here.
All right.
This was me and Ryan going through there.
Okay.
I just want to show you this one more thing. I think you've seen enough, huh?
I've seen a lot, and this has been really, really eye-opening.
That's why I come, I say, hey, I'm sorry that I couldn't, when I talked to you on the phone, sorry that I didn't can touch you. I made it a point to be, you see my phone still right there.
You're good.
I made it a point.
I made it a point to see you. I think we made it a point to see each other, knowing that it could potentially help.
Okay, I'm going to find out which one. Okay, here's
Hey, while you look for this, may I ask a side question?
Yeah, go ahead.
What would you say to somebody who's considering signing up to join the military or to join service? You know, maybe it's a relative, one of your friends, he's 17, 18 years old, and they're going to recruit.
I would tell them to think very hard about their own life first before they go out and risk their lives for the politicians' war, and then come back or not come back at all from there, or come back as half a man. I would really say that. I would tell them to think so hard and to talk to so many people before making that decision.
Thank you for sharing that. Do you want to say where you served and for what branch?
I served in the United States Army. I went in voluntarily at 75, I'm post-Vietnam. Right after Vietnam, I went in 2 years. I served Fort Knox, Kentucky, and that was it. And I came back. I dropped out of high school because I went to work and went to the Army. As soon as I got out, I got my GED. I passed an overall B+ average. From there, I decided I don't want to go to any kind of school to learn really any kind of profession. I love working with my hands. I'm a mechanic. I did construction for over 20 years. I ended up, it wore me down, so I ended up going into light construction, doing remodels, additions, and this and that, working for a development company to where we went in to empty homes or apartments, and from one end to the other, got them ready. Make ready is what they called it in the real estate, but make ready to rent. And that's what I did. My last job was in 2012 or 2013, working for a company in Long Beach. What we did was making high voltage equipment for the oil rigs. We had government contract. We had contracts with other countries. I was in a department where I made a very expensive part, just a high voltage. It took me an average of 2 to 3 days to complete one, but I worked in a system, and by the time I left there, out of the 200 manuals I made, different kinds, I only had like 5 failures. I was one of their best. But the competition started getting so big, and I was one of the newest people there. I was one of the ones who got laid off. So I went on unemployment. My unemployment ran out. I went on GR, and I said, okay, nothing's going to be happening here. So I came back to Los Angeles in like 2014. But before I came back, I made sure I'd be situated, not homeless. I came to this VA, and I went to the DOM, social worker, and they said, boom, boom, come on over, this and that. So I packed my stuff, I came over, I went into the DOM. From the DOM, I went to the back to work program because I still wanted to work. I wasn't disabled or nothing. That's when they told me at the domiciliary, VA run, in 2015, that there's going to be, Building 209 is going to open up, and it's going to be a CWT program since you want to go to work. Do you want to go there? I said, yes, absolutely. As of then, we knew nothing about that this was going to turn into a residential apartment. That wasn't told to us till about the last 4 months, and that certain people would be staying. 6 of us did end up staying. I was one of them, and I never knew what I was getting myself into with these landlords, and fighting for years and years. And I've been told this to the judge after 4 years of being patient, nice, respectful. Your Honor, I had enough. I said, well, I might as well just cut and let them know. And when their body language, they showed their anger, I smiled. I said, now you know how I feel. Except your anger is only going to last for a minute, and I'm going to get written up. And I would say that to myself, and that's exactly what it came out to. But my anger, my frustration, everything has been going on for over 5 years here.
I'm so sorry.
I'm retired. I can't. I'm a working man who paid his taxes, paid his dues, and I can't retire peacefully with Santa Monica's best slumlords that I have never ever encountered in 3 different states. A landlord like this who does not live, and the social workers who keep saying one of the reasons that they evicted me, and they were saying because I'm in non-compliance with the social workers, but they're not part of the lease.
Right.
There's not one piece of paper that I signed with the VA saying that you're going to be the VA. I have the paper to show. If you go, when you get an apartment through HUD VASH once a month, and then it slows down to once every 3, a VA staff social worker comes out and sees you to your home. What makes this apartment so different? Now, if there was a VA social worker come out here, this wouldn't be happening here. Mm-hmm. But the VA totally separated itself from this, and they kept telling me, trying to convince me, each and both that you signed a paper. I said, you keep saying I signed a paper. I don't know of any paper. I know what I signed. If you're saying that I signed a paper, you show me that paper. I have told each and every social worker since 2017 that. You show me the paper that I signed, and guess what? Then that means that this is part of the program, because it's obviously a program, not a residential apartment. This is their supportive housing. They, to this day, have not showed me one piece of paper that I signed with them or the VA or anyone obligating me to the landlord's employees. I don't care whether they're social workers licensed or not. To the landlord's employees, what is their best interest in? Their job, their company, who tells them what to do. They're not in my best interest. They're not in anyone's best interest there. How can you be in a best interest in telling people they owe you $30 even if you upgrade or if you stop? I mean, what kind of, I showed you that on the internet. I said they subscribed to it. They said it was AT&T 100 megabyte speed. It turned out to be a corrupt and crooked Tower Stream internet service that's been sued several times, and the people who sued them won it. This is who the service is through, and that's why it's so common. They're obviously still in business. So this is, it's just, so I have not been able to relax or do anything now. And to this day, they still haven't shown me any paper. And that's another reason why I think that they don't want this to go to court. Because that guy, Miranda, the one who took my husband, look at this. Now you asked me. I asked him in front of witnesses. I asked him this question earlier this year. Who told? Now read what that says.
Mr. Weibel.
Weibel, yeah.
Mr. Weibel, I'm writing to inform you that I've attempted to meet with you. I require your signature on release of information paperwork. I will attempt to engage with you next week. If you can please call me. Thank you.
Release of my medical information. Now, who is the landlord or any one of his employees saying, I need your signature so I can get your information? And if you're big time HUD VASH and you have all this right, why are you asking me?
So he had...
This is my so-called demand, and this is just late last year. This is after almost a year of harassment. Him coming up and knocking on my door, and me saying, "What did I tell you?" I said, "You don't knock on my door. Get away from my door and don't talk to me, you piece of shit." He called the cops on me. He's called the cops on me numerous times. He knocks on my door, harassing me. And they got write-ups in there saying I'm harassing and I'm a nuisance.
When you're in your home.
Yeah, they've been a nuisance with their other things. They had a tenant. He moved out. He got really sick. He was a tenant here. He got a job as a janitor with them, custodian. He was out here between 5 and 5:30 in the morning, rolling around those mop buckets in this loud hallway on that ground, and a trash going at 5 and 5:30 in the morning. Other tenants have complained about it. He made enemies here. I told the then manager who left, Ramirez, in 2020, late 2020 and 21. He said, Hey, I can't do nothing about it. I go, wait a minute. You're the live-in manager. You run this place. You're in control. And you can't tell one of your employees, the janitor, he's not supposed to be making noise between 9 or 8 a.m. And he's also a tenant. As a tenant and as an employee, he's being a nuisance to me and the tenant. And he'd be out here doing that noise. Right across is a community bathroom. He'd go in there. It had automatic flushes. He'd keep the door open, and I could hear the toilet. I'd go out there and go, hey man. He'd go, they're automatic toilet. I go, close the damn door. I can hear. I've seen people go in there before. I don't hear the toilet flushing when they come because the door's closed.
Right.
He's the no. And the more I complain to him nicely and this and that he just laughed. Because what it all comes down to is StepUp employees can do whatever they want when they want because they get paid to do that. But a paying tenant can't do nothing but pay his rent and sit down and be controlled. He sent me 3 of these. I'm putting them on my door.
What did you want to show me on the computer?
I want to show you that because we just came from the garden, right?
Correct.
Okay, just wanted to show you. Okay, so on that one. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I think you've heard and seen.
Oh, I've
you've
seen
okay,
this
you've seen
article.
one,
It's
right?
$20 million.
Right. Okay, you've seen that one. So this is the one I just want to show you how.
Yes, please.
And then, hey, I appreciate your time and.
I appreciate your service, and I don't say that in any manner other than this is disgusting.
Brian sent me this. Here's the garden. Look at how it used to be.
Ugh.
Now there's the front. There's the front since it's fenced off. That's why they opened the side doors, because people with wheelchairs and walkers couldn't get in.
There we go, just like that.
That's Ryan.
Has not had a key since he checked in. There's 2 new people that are tenants here.
Yeah.
That when they come out here to smoke a cigarette,
Yeah.
they got to wait for somebody to come out for them to get in. If nobody comes out, they just sit out here. Well, no, this is their
And see,
whoever's sitting out here.
that's how the mice and rats are getting in. Our doors being wedged open because no one can get in.
Well, you know what, just so you see, I'm gonna sign this so you know I was here.
Yeah, it's security.
Where's the pen?
There is one.
There's no pen?
No. Look at your pen.
And so, what is this whole security outpost here? Who's here?
No one. No security. Nothing.
Right.
Who's here?
They say
There used to be security here?
yes, there used to be 24 hours a day.
Okay.
People couldn't walk in the building. And then when the second manager came in, these supposedly
Don't mind
he
this,
got
thank
rid
you.
of the original guys that were here from when the VA.
Now, see on the first floor, on the basement floor, both elevators work. But that one, where that lady was sitting in the red,
Yep.
and then she ended up coming to the elevator, that's because you press the door close, and it won't close for Bonner. That's how come she came over. And the elevator guy was just here last week to fix it. This is how it's fixed. And then the other elevator, you can only use from the ground floor. On the first floor, like I showed you, you can't even use your card. They don't do nothing. Supportive houses. You know what they are? They're very supportive of themselves, period.
Well, I'm gonna do my best to get the word out and try to get the people, because it's obviously the politicians, all the other bullshit is.
That's
you
right.
know. But it was really a pleasure to meet you.
Hey, thanks for
I
coming out.
really
It's a pleasure to meet
respect
you.
like everything
Thanks
you
for
shared. I know
coming.
that's from the heart, and I know that's a toll.
You see, these doors, these doors, that uses a tap card. That was never made for us to go. Like I said, just that front door and this door have that post one.
So you
That's
can't go
the-
back in there now.
No, not through that door.
Now you have to go this way.
I have to go into this one.
understand.
These are the only two that you can go in. But now we have the key to get inside the back where the trash cans are. And that was earlier this year too. So it's just, like I said, this is, I mean, I knew that, I know I'm gonna, whether I lose the case or not in court, the point is I'm still gonna have to leave, because as I told you, I'm not gonna be able to afford $800 a month, $1,800, and if I could, I wouldn't. Not for
Not
this.
to live there, no.
No. So that's the point of it all. So I just went out here. It's going to be rough for me because of my income, even with Section 8, and with the inflation on how I'm going to survive off of $700 a month. But I had no choice. Early retirement, and that took $400 away from me going into early retirement.
Well,
And I'm never going to get that full retirement.
we're going to do what we can to share your story. And if there's any kind of support, leads, or help or assistance, I'll absolutely let you know.
Yeah, please do. I will. You just go ahead and, yeah, sometimes I forget to look at messages on our messaging, but the voicemail, I'm always checking because I'm always expecting someone for some reason to call me.
That's
So
good.
if you leave a voicemail, but I will start checking my message too now that I know you, I know your name. So just in case, if you decide to leave it on both, if I miss one, I'll get it through the other.
All right.
Okay?
Well, I understand.
All right,
I
Jim.
really wish you well. Thank you,
Thank
man.
you.
It's really nice
All right,
to meet
thank you for coming out here. Thank you. And I'm glad that Brian got me
Brian's
in touch
good.
with you and this and that. And he's working hard.
He is.
He's working
He's a
hard.
beast.
And for whatever his reason is, the thing is that he's focused on it and he's doing something about it. And he's getting more and more people involved with it.
Absolutely.
So that, and because the more the merrier. And it's just unfortunate that a lot of these tenants are afraid of retaliation.
I know.
So they don't want to get really that involved. Do you know that a couple of these apartments flooded out because above them, and they flooded out? There's a lady who's living here. She's in a wheelchair, but she can walk too. We didn't go to her apartment because she's moving and she really doesn't want to get involved. I'll tell you quick what happened. Her apartment got flooded out. They did not have a maintenance man then. She lived like that, out there for days. The security guard, Jackson, who works in building 500 right now, got a shop vac, and he went in there.
Oh,
Security,
my God.
private security, he was here when it was still a VA program. He went in there and sucked up all the water for her and did that. No one from the landlord did. The other guy had to leave to a motel. When he came back, he gave the motel bill to management. Management said, we're not paying for that. My apartment got flooded. Had nothing to do with me, and I had to go to a motel. They wouldn't even reimburse him for one night in the hotel.
If anything,
So he deducted that from his rent. They threatened to evict him.
Oh my God.
This is what they do. This is StepUp support, and you know what? We don't even, because they are a nonprofit organization, we make our checks out to, or our money orders out to, Veterans Housing Partnership. But yet everything comes as StepUp on second. They don't want to use their own name. Why?
If
Why?
there's any issues that could use attention and the person's willing to share, feel free, to let me or Ryan know.
I will,
course.
because if I talk to them, because there's a couple more people I
Yeah.
want you to talk to, but they're not around. If they say they want to talk to you, I'll call you. I'll set you up. I'll give you their number, and you can talk to them on the phone and set some. But I will get in many people and tell them who you are, just like I've been telling. And some of these people already know Ryan.
Yeah.
Now they can get to know you, and I'll be working with more people.
All love,
right.
bro.
Okay.
Take it easy. And I plan to be there on the 31st. I'm going to keep you posted, but I plan to try to go to court to support.
You know which?
Santa Monica.
You know
and
which
I'm talking to Ryan. Yeah.
You know which department that's?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you show, hey, if you can, you can. But if you do,
Respect. 100%.
thank you very much.
Peace, bro.
Take care.